We are going to discuss preparations of the Political Parties Regulation Commission, PPRC, ahead of the 2028 general elections, including regulating political parties' activities, controversies within political parties, among other things. This morning, to discuss all of these clusters, we've been joined by Lusaid Momo. So I said he's Director of Training and External Relations at the PPRC. Good morning, Lusaid.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Indeed. Just bring us up to speed as way of prefacing our discussion. What have you been up to, the PPRC, of recent?
Well, you can recall that after the 2023 elections, the issues between the government of Sierra Leone and the All People's Congress, the setting up of the Tripartite Committee, and the Tripartite Committee, bringing out their reports with recommendations and all of this. These recommendations were handed over to us by the Chief Minister, who represented the government in the Tripartite Committee discussions, and then the Commission in turn then, handed over the Tripartite report to the 16 political parties. So I said 16 because the C4C is still under injunction by the courts of Sierra Leone. And in those recommendations, 21, 33, 36, and I think 66 has to do with the PPRC, wherein the PSRU was asked to do management functional, engagements with the PPRC, management functional review. The review was conducted by the PSRU, and we're at the final stage of the process. We're only waiting now for the final reports from the PSRU, on the MSFR, so we are going to look at the recommendations therein, and actions will be taken to ensure that we move the institution forward. Also, under the tripartite recommendation, I think it was recommendation 5, which says there should be, because you know that the other political parties said that it was an agreement between the government of Sierra Leone and the APC, and they were not involved. So in that regard, we've set up the Inter-Party Dialogue Committee, and we have the actual done, and they elected the chair for the first quarter. And what they did was it was a balloting system that we do for them, 16 of them, and all of them chose their fate as to who will take the lead, in chairing the Inter-Party Dialogue Committee. PMDC is currently taking the lead. 2 weeks ago, we held the 6th meeting of the Inter-Party Dialogue Committee, and in that meeting, they decided to draw up their work plan as to how they want to roll out the activities of the Inter-Party Dialogue Committee. The next meeting will be held on the 25th of September this year. And after which the expiration of the term of the PMDC, I think we're going to have the NDA to take the chair for another 3 months. And so that is how they will go until all of them will chair the Inter-Party Dialogue Committee. And also, we've been dealing with political parties. We completed the lower level elections of the Sierra Leone People's Party. And then we've gazetted the internal rules and regulations of the All People's Congress. The final date for objections to be sent in elapsed last Thursday, 11th of September 2025. And we are looking at the objections therein, and then we'll have to send those objections to the leadership of the APC for their response. If their response is not considered by the objectors, then we have to bring the objectors and the party to the mediation table so that we can look at the provisions that they are objecting on to see how they can rephrase or how they can convince the objectors that those provisions are are not inconsistent with their party constitution in the first place, and then the national constitution in the second place. And then we all know the topic of the day within the All People's Congress. We received on the 3rd of September 2025, we received a letter dated 1st of September 2025 from Chief Alhaji Samsumana, former Vice President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, bringing up 3 issues: his expulsion, what happened after his expulsion, and according to him, the failure of internal redress mechanisms to address his concerns. And then he asked for 5 things. So what we did as a commission, we've sent his complaints to the party for the party to respond. When the party respond, they have 14 days. I think they've done a week now. I think they have, 5 or 6 days more to respond. And then when the response come, we have to send the response, to Chief Samsumana again to get his own opinion about the response from the party. And then if he is not happy with the response from the party, then we're going to bring them to the mediation table to discuss the issues hearing. And let me just say this, we've not ruled on it yet. We've just asked the party to respond to the complaint, because when a complaint is brought against someone, we cannot just look at the complaint without the person that is being complained is not aware of the complaint, sent to him, because the letter, in that letter, the APC was not copied. The letter was only sent to the PPRC. So to ensure fair play, we have to alert the party that there is a complaint and they should respond, to that complaint. We've been dealing with several issues, between and among members of different political parties, and then we have also developed, this is all forward thinking. The tripartite committee recommended that we develop campaign finance regulations. We've already done that. The document is now with the law officers department. It has gone through cabinet. It's now with the law officers department. Last week we visited the law officers department to make some clarifications on some provisions therein, and then that will be tabled in Parliament. And then after the 2020 elections, we developed the dispute resolution guide, which I think we all know that in political parties they have disciplinary committee, and when they go to elections, they are divided. So you will just know that the disciplinary committee will be part of one side of the divide, and then when issues are brought to the disciplinary committee, it's not every time that people are happy with the outcome. So we developed the dispute resolution guide, which ask that political parties create, a dispute resolution committee within the party that consists of people that have nothing to lose again in the party, that has people that can speak truth to the leadership of the party, that have people that can speak truth to the membership of the party, so that some of these disputes, like the dispute that is being brought before us by the Chief Samsumana, will be resolved by the party, by people who the entire membership, the leadership of the party believes, are people who are, to a very great extent, are people who are very, very, very neutral. That also will be cascaded, to district level, regional level, and district level, so that these complaints, will be solved in-house by the political party. So these are some of the things that we have a new chairman who started working in January. We've met with the political parties severally, and then also we reviewed our strategic plan. Just after the 2023 elections, thanks to the European Union, do international ideas. We've done a review, and I think by next year, before the 2028 elections, we'll have to do a midterm review because of the changes in circumstances and situations, around the country. So we'll have to look at the strategic plan, and see where we wanted to go and we are unable to go, and see how we can address that particular aspect of our work. We are also looking at the Political Parties Act, to see how we can strengthen it further, to address, emerging issues, surrounding the regulation of political parties in Sierra Leone.
Does the PPRC have the wherewithal to be able to resolve the current dispute within the APC, the Chief Samsumana case versus the party?
Of course, we've been able to resolve issues, bigger than this. It all depends on the willingness of both parties to see how they can move from their comfort zones. And what I said last week was that this is the time the membership or leadership or people that are aspiring for bigger positions in the party to take the front stage and forget about their own personal interest. Because if you keep your own personal interest, at the end of the day, you achieve your personal interest, and that personal interest that you have, which is the bigger picture, and there are cracks in the political party, then it will be a problem. I can recall in 2005 when lawyer Charles Francis Magai left the SLPP and formed the PMDC. There are people saying it's not important. But when we went to that election, Charles Magai pulled 15% of the votes. And those 15% of those votes were SLPP votes. So one man is very important. So I think they should find a way how they can come together as a party, address these issues, that everybody is happy. So we will do our level best to ensure, and when they come to us, we'll listen to them, to both sides. We'll look at the weight of the arguments, in tandem with their constitution, the Political Parties Act, and the Constitution of Sierra Leone 1991, Act number 6 of 1991. And then we'll ask them to go as a family to sit and find ways of resolving it, rather than we giving, a ruling on who is right or who is wrong. For us, at that point, while we're doing that in mediation, you should always ensure that there's an opportunity for both sides to sit and see how they can trade off. If they cannot trade off, then we'll use the law, to address all of these issues. But let me make this very clear. Whatever that has been done, or that has been looked at, and that has been given ruling on by the Supreme Court, will not look at it. Will not dare to look at it. It will be contempt.
In this case, the matter of the expulsion?
We will not look at it, because that matter has been dealt with by the Supreme Court. So we dare not touch anything that has been done. So that is why we are presently looking at the documents, looking at the evidence, brought therein by Chief Samsumana. And we know that when the APC will be responding, they will also bring in their own evidence that will look in tandem with their laws, in tandem with their constitution, in tandem with the Political Parties Act 2022, Act number 25 of 2022, and of course the Constitution of Sierra Leone 1991, Act number 6 of 1991.
So the key thing for them, the main issue here that has led to all the back and forth, letters, conferences here and there, is this criterion to be flag bearer of the party. And Chief Samsumana and his team, now they're saying, APC is saying you have to have spent about 5 years. So the back and forth now is to when they begin to count his reintegration back into the party, qualifying for flag bearer. But that in itself has sparked another conversation as to what really qualifies an individual to run for presidency in Sierra Leone.
Well, the Constitution of Sierra Leone is very clear on that, and the Constitution of Sierra Leone says for one to run as the president of Sierra Leone, it's different from running as a flag bearer candidate. The Constitution of this APC is saying, 56B is addressing for someone to be qualified to run as a flag bearer, whilst the Constitution of Sierra Leone 1991, Act number 6 of 1991, speaks to running for the presidency.
So how do we link the two? Because these two are connected just in stages. to become president of Sierra Leone, as per the constitution, you cannot be an independent candidate.
You cannot.
You need to go through a political party.
Yes.
And these political parties have their own constitution that regulates their affairs. But how do we merge the two? I ask this because even in this back and forth conversation, there are some corners that say the APC putting it even to 5 years, being a member within the party to qualify for flag bearer, contradicts what the PPRC says. Speak to that, please.
I may not speak to it because it is an issue that is on ground. If I make a statement now, it may look like a policy statement. It may look like the PPRC. But does the
PPRC have its own set standards that differ from what the political parties, in this context now, not just the APC,
okay, now,
all the political parties, do you have something different from what the political parties have as a criteria?
All political parties have their criteria as to being qualified to be elected into any office. Like the SLPP, as lower at the ward level, or the APC at the ward level. If you want to be a ward chairman or ward secretary or ward women's leader, you must have been a member for a year. Just as the constitution always says, if you want to be the president of Sierra Leone, you must have been 40 years of age. You must have been a Sierra Leonean. You must be qualified to be elected as a member of parliament of Sierra Leone. So all of the political parties, they have their own criteria that they set for everyone to be qualified to be elected in any office.
And you don't interfere, as PPRC, you don't interfere with that constitutional requirement they have as political parties?
We cannot, because they sat down as a political party. And let me tell you, Article 56B of the Constitution of APC 2022, that particular provision was objected to. And when we went to the mediation table, it was rephrased. Initially, it was 5 years continuous membership. For what? And when they were rephrasing, they now placed prior to the time you want to contest for a position in the party. For example, to be a flag bearer, you must have been a continuous member, paying your dues continuously for 5 years prior to the time you are going to contest for the position of flag bearer. So then, in all of the other provisions, that is why I said this is the time the elders of the party, the people that want to be flag bearers, let me be straight. This is the time they should come forward. This is the time they should come together and see how they can mend fences. Because, like I said before, one man is very important. So that at the end of the mediation, everyone will be happy.
Democratically, does that 5-year clause, resonate with current democratical trends, not only in Sierra Leone, but elsewhere? And does the PPRC support such clauses?
Well, the party, they have their own thinking. You cannot go now as Victor, you cannot go now to any of the political party and say, oh, I want to join the political party, and giving you the membership of the party, and you want to be a flag bearer. You might be a snitch. So they must ensure that they truly believes in you truly believes in the ideology of that political party before being given such position. So it has been the practice over the years that our constitution is restrictive. Why an 18-year-old who is qualified to be elected as a member of parliament is not qualified to be a president? So every constitution has criteria as to what you should do, or what you are, or what you've achieved to become eligible for those positions. I will try not to delve more into it because it's a question the APC also has to answer. Okay. So I may not give a definitive answer here, whether they are in contradiction of the Constitution or contradicting best practice.
Okay.
These issues are not new issues. When Donald Trump wanted to come back, it was a very serious issue within the Republicans. You know, that he hijacked the party, that he is using money. So they came together. We can recall there was a lady, a very stubborn lady, who was also an aspirant to be a flag bearer of the Republican. At the end of the day, they went backstage and resolved their issues. So I believe, for us as the PPRC, we believe the APC will sit back and look at the bigger picture and try to settle their differences.
You know, I wanted to ask, I mean, it almost seems as though in Sierra Leone we have only two political parties, the SFP and the APC. I was even surprised when you mentioned the PMDC just now. I thought they had gone into obsolescence. What criteria, can a particular political party register in Sierra Leone? How much does it cost generally?
Well, of course,
political party running?
We have 17 registered political parties, and we have 16 active political parties, because the C4C, as I said earlier, they are injuncted. Okay. So there are 16 active political parties. At 11 today, we have what we call a political party liaison committee meeting hosted by the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone. Okay. And all of these political parties, take part in that meeting. And all of the activities of the PPRC, they take part. The challenge that I think you want to go to, but you're finding a way of skewing it, is that their presence across the country. Yes, it's a challenge. We've discussed when the chairman came in January, the first meeting he held with political parties, he read the Riot Act to them. For us now, it's very easy. It's simple. The Political Parties Act 2002, Act number 3 of 2002, states that for every violation, we must deregister. We saw it as very extreme.
Yeah, because I just wanted to ask you,
so
I saw that clause.
In the review,
the registration.
And before I come to the review, when these political parties come to register, they come with all their documents. That they come with their lease agreements, 5-year lease agreements. They come with their membership. They come with their constitution. Come with their rules and regulations, if there are any rules and regulations. But the challenge we have is that when you register these political parties, because we do yearly verification of their offices. I can recall in 2019, after the general elections in 2018, when we went out for verifications, we found out that some of these party offices no longer existed in those localities. If we had gone into action, I think even the media and civil society and other people will say the government of the day want to use the PPRC to muzzle them. So what we were doing at those points in time, we were not using the stick, we were using the carrot approach to cajole them to ensure that they get offices. But the challenge that they have when the chairman read the Riot Act to them in January was that, one, some of them are finding it difficult to raise funds, to go ahead with their day-to-day activities. Secondly, they also made mention of the subvention clause that was removed in Parliament for political parties. And also, they said they are finding it very difficult for landlords, property owners to, give their properties to them on lease for fear of when there is campaign or when there is an issue between political parties, they will get. And then, in some instances, they say some landlords, as long as they say they want to open a party office, they will ask them which political party. And if it's not any of the two old ones, also we know they include we host. So they are clamoring with those challenges. But the good thing about the reviewed act is that it now has phases where we won. And then if you are not compliant within the period that the warning is given to you, then we'll fine. And the fine is also restrictive, not more than 120,000 leones. I mean the new leones. And then if they are not compliant again, we'll suspend. and then if they are not compliant with the register. So the new act makes it very simple for us compared to the appealed act of 2002.
Okay. You know, in 2023, you, well, say, restricted large rallies from political parties. A lot of, you know, legal minds argued that they cited constitutional rights, freedom of assembly, association, and freedom of speech generally. Some even suggested that the ban was imposed by a press release couldn't hold because it wasn't statutory. It was just a mere, you know, literature.
It was not good. It was just good that the legal minds that you mentioned never took us to court, because sections 12(2)(e) of the Political Parties Act gives us the mandate to do such things that will enhance, you know, our mandate given to us by the Constitution. All such things includes, if there is a potential for violence, we must do such things to ensure that that violence do not occur or is prevented. So, let me just make this clarification again on the ban on street rallies. In a meeting held, it was on a Sunday at our office on 9 Lamina Sanko Street in Freetown, the conference hall of the PPRC, wherein all of the political parties were brought together. We discussed 3 issues. The mode of campaign. We also discussed criteria for political parties to be eligible to participate in the elections. And then the third thing, I think, was compliance that we dealt with. Under mode of campaign, we suggested that because of the potentials that we saw in other elections that street rallies have, you know, to be frank enough, all of those street rallies, none of them make sense.
You think so?
I've attended them when I was not working for the PPRC. I've attended them, all of them, when I started working for PPRC in 2010. It was just like where Padule come out. I mean, just enjoyment. It was just like jamboree.
But the purpose that served for the political parties for them was a show-off to everyone. This is the crowd that we have.
But again,
for them, that was what that was
but
about.
But again, some of those crowds are fake crowds. Because
we don't know that.
I can recall, I know. We attend those rallies. We see people in all of those rallies. When I went to, I will not call the city that I went to, I saw somebody who I know is a very strong person for another political party in my own community, wearing the regalia of another. I said, what you can do here? He said, when they give me money, they give me polo. You know, I can collect, I can enjoy and go. So, and then again, those crowds that you see, most of them are not registered voters. Okay. So what we did, what we agreed, by all political parties agreed, save for lawyer Lansana Dumbuya, who said, we are not, this is his exact words in English, we are not averse to the ban on street rallies. But our concern is, it was how their supporters will be treated to and from the designated area where they will hold their political rally, wherein they will send their messages. After all of these rallies, when the leaders of these parties are talking to them, when you go to the National Stadium, some are already sleeping. By the time the leader is speaking, majority of them are going home. No message, no nothing, and then there were risks of violence. You will recall that the 2023 election will be cited as one of the most peaceful elections in Sahel. During campaigns,
you mean?
Business people were able to open their shop. People let their children to go to school, but before now, people were afraid. Because then if one they use the rally and say for cause confusion for drug people and phone.
So a lot of international news agencies, not least human rights agencies, did describe that particular election you're referring to as one of the most fractious in Sierra Leone. Checkpoints were lifted, guns were fired, people were beaten, places were attacked. Are you saying that was a peaceful election? To you,
when you want to quantify, that is why I said
assertion?
one of the most peaceful. But
One of the most
yes,
peaceful.
because I cannot tell you, I cannot defend that there were incidents of violence here and there. But compared to other elections, they were less because we prevented some of the causative factors that brings in violence, to be looked at. Even in developed democracy, they do not rally, on their streets. They go to the designated areas and do their campaign and their rallies.
The indicators could be different. Heterogeneous factors should be considered. This is Africa and this is Sierra Leone. It's different. You cannot compare Sierra Leone to the US. And you were saying it doesn't make quite a sense to you for these people to be rallying in the streets. But to them, it makes sense, They're happy when they see the crowd.
So what I'm saying...
It's a watermelon politics, you like to call it. They like it.
What I'm saying is...
It almost seems as
it
if
was agreed. It was agreed by the
muzzling
16 political parties present in that meeting. It was agreed by them.
Another election is approaching, Lucien. Are these laws still in effect? Will you be banning public rallies again for the 2028 elections?
Well, the situation will give rise to it to be in effect again. If the situation, resurfaces, and then for the peace of the what we're doing is that sections 12(2)(e) gives us that mandate to ensure that we do all such things that will ensure that we achieve our mandate. And our mandate is to regulate political parties. And if we see that they've started throwing stones at each other, then it is the responsibility of the PPRC to ensure that those stones are kept for better things. So if the situation arises again, then we'll be left with no option but to ensure that the safety of the country and the safety of the citizens of Sierra Leone are kept intact.
Part of the regulations you had introduced for the last elections was the banners on the streets. You had ordered that those should be removed. Though the 2023 elections, we wrapped that up, but for other elections now, we see that there are banners as well. What's the status of that ban you had imposed? Was it only for 2023 elections, or generally for elections activities, no banners across the streets?
No, the scenario you're giving is different from when it comes to the general elections. People can install their banners and all of this. So the conversation we're having now is to have a conversation with council. We have a conversation with SLRA, because what we saw in the 2012 elections and in the 2023 elections, in 2018 elections, the All People's Congress was in governance. We saw, you go to Wilkinson Road, it was all APC, majority of the banners. When in 2023 elections, it was all SLPP. So the conversation we are going to have before that elections is to find a way that they will have equal share of the like for example, Wilkinson Road. You can put 1,000 banner, a company not get side for put a banner. So there will be restriction. There are 16 political parties.
But these banners are paid for, right?
Yes, they are paid for.
It's not free.
It's not free.
Every banner on the street is paid for.
But there are certain people, there are certain places that they install banners that are free. And there are certain places that are referred to as private properties. But if the private property, there is going to be the conversation. Legal minds will roll heads as to what amounts to a private property and what amounts to a public property.
What are you pushing for in this? Equity or equality? I ask because equality. There's disparity. Again, for those places where it's paid for, there's disparity between the financial strength, the political parties. APC and SLPP are the haves. The others are the have-nots. So is it equality or equity you're pushing for?
Well, we are pushing for both. We know, as you said, some are financially weak and some are financially viable, financially strong, if I may use the word, And in those conversations, And we've seen even when they are given campaign slots, some of those financially weak political parties give their campaign slots to the financially strong party, and all of those brings confusion because it's not everyone that we know that these slots are being given to either or.
Is that prohibited legally?
Well, the laws are silent on that. The laws are silent.
So what the law doesn't say you shouldn't do, you can do, isn't it?
So what we're going to, the conversation we're going to have is that we'll have a conversation with the political parties to agree on a term that will suit all. Now, they may agree that okay, if I am to campaign on Wednesday, if I'm unable to go to a designated area, I will find a way of going to the radio, and I will not give my day or sell my dates to another political party. If they agree on that, that is fine. If they agree otherwise, that is also fine. But there must be, a policy or principle as to how that is being done. Because in all of these elections, there have been confusion between political parties on those issues. This don't sell in this, get this. For example, if Party X gives its date to Party Y, and Party Y is also in competition with Party A, and Party A knows that it's Party X date to campaign, and then if he sees Party Y campaigning, it's a cause for confusion. It's a cause for confusion. So I believe we will end up the conversation with having a decision on whether not to give your dates to someone else.
Are you still...
And campaign dates is being regulated by the ECSL. So we're going to collaborate with the ECSL because the Chief Electoral Commissioner is also a member of the PPRC. He's a commissioner automatically. That individual becomes CEC. So we're going to have the conversation. I will collaborate to ensure that we'll salvage that situation to avoid problems.
Is the PPRC still registering new political parties?
Well, of course, we are in receipt of application from two movements, and they are yet to fill in the form.
So you're still registering? On what criteria?
We'll register political parties until Thy Kingdom come.
On what criteria?
Because the Constitution of Sierra Leone states that you have freedom of association. And the Political Parties Act states that we should ensure political pluralism, which means if you fulfill the criteria set therein by the Political Parties Act, we'll register you as a political party.
So what does it take to be registered as a political party?
If you want to be registered as a political party, is that you must form yourself as an association or as a movement with the aim or aspirations of being transformed into a political party. You must have your constitution, and you must submit 3 copies of those constitution. You must send us 50 members in each district. And how we're doing it now is that when you're sending your members, your 50 members, you must send in either their passport, their national ID card, because because before now, and why we introduced the forms again when we came to PPRC in 2010, when we were scrolling through the 32 registered political parties that we inherited, from ECSL, we found out that there are people who were founding members of some political parties. There were bigger guns in either APC or SLPP at that moment. So what we did was to develop a registration form, application form, wherein some of those people that you say are the founding members, their photos will be there. So when we are going to verify, if we go to Bond and you say Victor is a founding member in Bond, we'll look at the face of Victor and the face that we have on the forms. And then even with the 50 member criteria that is in the law, they are also bound to also supply their NIN numbers, their ID cards, so that we can verify. We can do random verification. We can write to NCRA to say, please verify X, Y, and Z for us in X, Y, and Z location, because we've had a problem with the political party with regards executive. When we call to verify, these people will tell us A, B, C, and D. I'm not a member of a political party. I'm a civil servant. I'm a member of either APC or SLPP. So we do those verifications to ensure that go. So again, they must have offices in the 5 regions. They must have office in Freetown. They must have offices in Bo. They must have office in Kenema. They must have office in McKinney, and they must have office in Port Loko. When we were reviewing this act, we wanted, when we were reviewing, it was suggested that they have offices in the district. And then we say, well, this now kill, go and kill. And the 5 self they forget, they're not able to get them, then you go increase them to 16. So it is restrictive. The headquarter of the regions. That's why I said Bo, Kenema, McKinney, Port Loko, and then in Freetown. And those offices should be either owned by the movement or under lease for not less than 5 years. And those lease agreements, you will not just come to us with lease agreements. Those lease agreements should be registered at the administrator and registrar's office. Recently, before the 2023 election, there was a movement who came in with all of these documents. When we went to Kenema, we met a pharmacy and a dwelling house. We had to ask the tenants residing there to let us get the contact of the landlord. When we called the landlord, he said they really went there for the office, but he had not rented the office. So that was forgery. So we did not even waste any time to check any other office, because we've seen one fraud. And there are some other instances where we will take 2-3 hours to locate an office, and when we go, it's a dwelling house. So we have a lot of movements who've been applying since 2010. We have a whole bunch of them, over 10, 15 of them.
One would say all of these clauses are extremely harsh and restrictive for modern day democracy. For a party to come into existence, you'd have all of these places bought or leased, in the country. Show documentation owning these places.
Maybe ours
Isn't it too much?
Maybe ours is softer. In the Gambia, that is the population of Gambia, that is not more than half of our population. For every constituency, you should provide 2,000 members. 2,000 members. And then you pay $20,000 for registration, $20,000 again for renewal of registration. So I think ours is a little bit on the soft side. But every jurisdiction, there are criteria, for the registration of political parties.
Let's go back to these banners we were talking about. This morning I was listening to my colleague Lamranaba speaking to Tambalamin about redistricting and dividing Freetown. Before the elections, Freetown would have been divided into perhaps 2 halves, right? Now, before now, in 2023 elections gearing up to same, there were complaints about the vandalization of banners in this country. Even the Sierra Leone police raised concern about that. If this redistricting happens or takes place and Freetown is divided, wouldn't it affect all of these plans you were making about, equity and equality?
Well, the issue of banners being destroyed, it's also part of the conduct of political parties under the Political Parties Act 2022, Act number 25 of 2022. You should not destroy, the elections materials or disrupt campaign or meetings of another political party. But with the banners, the difficulty therein is to prove who destroys these banners. It's very hard. Political parties will report our banners have been destroyed. But who destroys those banners? That is the problem we have, you know. In the case wherein we find Victor as a member of Party Z, destroying a banner, then we'll take action against your party. Not against you, but the party you're representing. So we'll take action. So that is why we're always saying we'll increase, you know, our awareness raising that these banners has nothing to do with you. Leave these banners. Avoid these banners. Forget it. And again, there's another issue of thieves cutting away these banners, you know, to install on their leaked roofs. You know, so these are all issues we are grappling with. You know, we went to a meeting at a particular city where both parties came, the two parties. They were they don't go destroy banners, and these others say they've destroyed our banners at this other point again. Who destroyed your banner? I don't know. Who destroyed your banner? I don't know, because you cannot prove that Mr. X or Mr. Y, you know, destroyed that banner. So what we are saying is that supporters of political parties, members of political parties, operatives of political parties, please, when it comes to elections, forget about saying ill things about the other political parties' candidates. Forget about destroying banners or using other people to destroy banners. Concentrate on selling your political policies, your ideology to the people in your particular locality or around the country.
You know, another thing I would like to ask is campaign financing. You see, I'm not sure, is there a law that regulates how much the limit to spending, you know, on campaigns in this country? I'm sure there should be a law.
For now, it was open. But like I said earlier on, we've developed a campaign finance regulation, which limits the amount a councillor should spend, the amount a member of parliament should spend, the amount a political party will spend, the amount, you know, a flag bearer, you know, should spend in an elections. Before now, it was open, it was vague. All we had at that moment was a form that they fill to disclose what comes in, what they expended, and what is left. But with the regulation, if the regulations goes through Parliament, then we'll again launch another awareness campaign to ensure that people know that if I'm going to contest for the election of a councillor, this is my threshold.
Are these thresholds been set? How much are we talking about?
The threshold, I cannot give you the threshold offered.
Okay.
I cannot give you the threshold offered. But in the subsequent program, if I'm invited here again, I'll give you all the thresholds.
Lucian, the PPRC does embark on conflict resolution, but do you also have conflict prevention mechanisms?
Yes, of course. We have conflict prevention mechanisms. That is why one of the conflict mechanisms that we just initiated now is the Inter-Party Dialogue Committee, wherein they discuss issues of common concerns. We piloted the program that has just been completed, the multi-party dialogue forum that was funded by the UNDP. We did the pilot in Kono, and then the pilot is completed. What they are doing now is they are doing a report on that particular platform, so that the donors will see reasons why we will now decentralize, you know, into every district, so that they will have this committee is a little bit similar to the Inter-Party Dialogue Committee. But these committees are committees that are based at district level, at chiefdom level, wherein they look at common issues that affect them. I can recall it was in Kamara chiefdom in Kono district, wherein there is this young man, you know, that is trying to make ends meet. How will I refer to him? It's like, he don't make an alive more. These people that he has been helping, when it comes to elections, they destroy the only nightclub, you know, or entertainment center that is in Kamara chiefdom. But this young man, he knows the boys, and they are his boys. And in that meeting, we reconciled them, and told them that elections should not tear us apart.
So you're dwelling now much on conflict resolution. I'm looking at conflict prevention.
That one is also conflict. That one is also conflict prevention.
I asked this because I know recently, well, before now, the PPRC would only sit on matters that were reported to the PPRC. But now, even without a report sent to you, you can also take up issues that you see affect political parties. The SLPP, after their elections, they had some issues, from social media banter to a point that even the party itself said they were now on a unity drive. What did the PPRC do?
Well, in that situation, I cannot recall the correct issue you are looking at. But what we do,
since you can't recall, let me remind you of the issue. After the elections, fast forward to Parliament, they had the Cocoa saga. The First Lady, of course, is a member of the SLPP. She had taken to social media that there are issues within some people fighting against her in the party, to a point saying they even want to set her apart from her husband. She had some of the members, she called their names on her videos, some of them she had responded to their comments. So we had seen these things on social media. And then we saw the SLPP executive, the new executive, saying they were now embarking on a unity drive. So obviously, you embark on a unity drive because there are issues here and there. So, since you can't recall those issues, I just brought them to your attention.
Let me respond to that. When we were doing their lower level elections, when we saw some issues coming, we bring them to our office to say, no, if you're going towards this direction, there will be a problem before. And then they take 2 steps backwards. But because after the issue in Parliament, the executive of the party, which includes the leader, who is the president of Sierra Leone, says they are embarking on uniting themselves, we will not go in because they are using their own mechanisms to solve their problems. Because these parties, mind you...
But it took a bit before the executive now said they were going on a unity drive. So during that period of when the issues were hot on social media, up until the national executive then said they were going on a unity drive, where was the PPRC with your conflict prevention mechanisms? Well,
if you look at the flyers that we are putting out weekly, every Sunday, part of our preventive drives is to ensure that we educate political parties on the way that they should go. Just take a look at all of the flyers that we are putting out, on a weekly basis. These flyers are deliberate flyers. It responds, or it addresses issues, that we see that are coming, so that, because this was the song that they sang in Parliament, was a song that they sang and danced to during their convention. Not until, until the issue that you made mention of, came in, that we realized, that there is a meaning, to that song. But as I said, because they've taken their drive, as a party, we'll allow them to ensure that they seek their own internal redress mechanisms. That is why, even if Chief Samsumana did not send that letter to us, but by mere fact of that press conference that he held, would have come in. Our restriction in the 2002 Act was that when approached by the leadership, and that leadership was restrictive. I can recall when NRM sent us a letter complaining the All People's Congress, the reply that we got from the All People's Congress when we wanted to start mediating, that those that sent the letter, that signed into the letters, are not paid up members of their political party. That is one. Two, that they are not members of the leadership. So when we were reviewing It also occurred with the SLPP. When complaints were brought by ordinary members and other political parties, the leadership of those parties will say, they will quote 12, it was not 12 at that time, it was 12 to D, which said when approached by the leadership. They will quote when approached. So when we were reviewing this 2022 Act, we took it into consideration that even an ordinary member, as long as he's a member of a party, is paying his dues. If his rights are trampled upon, it is our responsibility to listen to those issues. So, if Chief had not approached us with a letter, we would have approached the party also to tell us to respond as to the claims being made by Chief Samsumana.
All right, we're trying to round off now, but we'll read you a few of the messages on our Facebook page so you can respond. Amadou Kagbo says, Lucian, apart from the new political parties, is PPRC going to check existing parties if they meet all these criteria? Because parties like PMDC, NGC, PDP, UDM, etc. don't have party offices in all regional headquarters. Boselli says, good morning to AYV and your studio guest from PPRC. Yes, it is true that there have been a lot of violence in the two major parties in the country whenever they have their internal election. As for me, I don't blame the PPRC because they have limited resources to manage the affairs of the political parties. So government needs to empower that office before the next coming general elections, or else I'm afraid. Hosam Conte says the very PPRC staff themselves that regulate political party activities belong to each of these political parties, and it gets challenging for them to be neutral. Edwina John says population balance. Okay, no, I'll take this other one. Edwina says there are perceptions, whether accurate or not, that the PPRC may be influenced by ruling parties, especially given the challenges around SLPP's internal elections and how prompt or effective the PPRC has been acting. When PPRC acts, example, ordering reruns, cancelling elections, affected parties sometimes protest that the Commission oversteps or is inconsistent. This can feed into distrust.
Yes, thank you to our viewers. I'll start with the last one, talking about influence by ruling parties. And I will give scenarios. And I will just tell you that the Constitution of Sierra Leone, 1991, Act number 6, 1991, and the Political Parties Act grants us our independence. And it says, except otherwise, the PPRC, when we are going, or when we are ensuring that we are going on with our mandate, we are not to be directed by any authority except otherwise stated by the law, which means it's only the Supreme Court that can direct us after we have taken a decision that some political parties are not happy with. And then the Constitution is the supreme law of our land. If PPRC was being influenced by any political party, ruling political party, we would not have registered the PMDC in 2005. We would not have registered the PMDC in 2005. And then fast forward, we would not have registered ADP, Mohamed Kamayemba's party, because we knew it was coming directly from the APC. We would not have registered C4C. We would not have registered the NGC. So all of these political parties that are offsprings of APC or SLPP, most of them are registered during the time when their party was in power. Like the NGC. NGC, when they were registered, they were speaking directly against APC and SLPP, and APC was in power. So that means you are not influenced by them. And then there was someone saying that members of staff of PPRC are members or belong to political parties. Section 11 says that the chairman, the commissioner, and staff of PPRC are not members. If the The Texan knows any staff that is a member of any political party, please bring it up. Actions will be taken against that staff. I can recall when we were doing some interviews some time ago, and even last week, the person was very brilliant in his presentation. When the question came, are you a card-carrying member of a political party? The person said yes. And the other one says, I'm planning to become a member of a political party. There was another lady when in 2022, when we were recruiting, when asked if she is a member of a political, yes. I mean, the chairlady of SLPP in Afobe. Obviously, we do not take staff that are members of political parties. We all vote. We all vote because it's our political rights. And this person was talking about empowering. Yes, indeed, staff capacity-wise, we cannot be everywhere for now. Kono is the only district, that we have, we have our presence safe for Bo, Kenya, Makeni, and the others. So what we're doing, what we're seeking, we've also been given approval by the Ministry of Finance to recruit further to fill in those gaps in those districts that we are not in. There was the mention of new political parties. We don't have new political parties. We have associations or movements that want to become political parties. The issue of verifying existing political parties, we do verify them yearly. Like I said before, the challenge we have with them is having offices across the country. And if we are to move with the law, the first step that we'll take is to one. Because that is what the law says. Before now, the law says that we should deregister them.
All right, thank you very much, Lucien, for being a part of the program this morning.
You're welcome.